Objectivity versus subjectivity. It's a tale as old as time, right up there with hot versus cold, and putting effort into your content versus uploading an uncut stream of you watching full Christopher Nolan movies while occasionally snorting wind out of your nose and calling it content. When it comes to film discussion, both of these words seem to get thrown around left, right, and center while discussing opinions. Some people may get somewhat irritated at another movie fan for talking about their opinion as if it is an objective fact, and others will downright track down the exact geolocation of a Reddit user and their entire family in order to waterboard some and shove others into a brazen bull, just because Gurgle the Gerbil 127 didn't say, "in my opinion," before saying they didn't enjoy the FNAF movie. However, one instance of discussion I find really interesting is the idea of subjectivity absolutely obliterating potential discourse. One of my favorite things about consuming media is the conversations and discussions that come out of talking with other people about their experiences. Whether our experiences are the same with Parasite, where we both gush and mush about every single pixel within that movie, or we both disagree on the overall quality of the Hunger Games trilogy and try to figure out which one of us was neglected in their childhood in order to reach that conclusion. It's always fun to just talk about it with other people. However, the amount of times I've told someone that I didn't enjoy a film that they liked, and they hit me with the, "Oh, you didn't enjoy it? Well, it must just not be your thing then." Film discussion always seems to be a pretty contentious topic when you really start getting into the thick of it. I've lost friends, coworkers, siblings, family, girlfriends, pets, dentists, grandparents, teeth, kidneys, and even therapists who kicked me out of their office, all because I shared my opinion on a popular movie. Exaggeration aside, I would honestly be lying if I said that there weren't multiple instances where I told someone that Schmiegeldorf the Magical Lima Bean wasn't that great of a film and they got pretty heated about it. Which is honestly not a big deal, because it shows that the person is passionate about that piece of media, and it allows for the opportunity to easily ask questions about why they like it and promote discussion. However, the thing that really manages to grind my gears like a Destiny 2 player grinds their life away in order to make that funny number over there go from 218 to 267 is the insistence that some people have to use subjectivity as an abrupt finish line while discussing opinions. What tends to happen is that me and someone who's brave enough to walk up and talk to me within smelling distance start up a conversation about our thoughts on a newer film like Longlegs. I didn't really enjoy Longlegs all that much, thinking it was a lifeless imitation of other films I enjoy more, with a sprinkle of Nicolas Cage doing his best satanic birthday clown impression, while the other person really liked it, thinking that it's a disturbing horror movie that was well shot and really shivered their timbers. But in the instant we both communicate our feelings towards one another, the conversation comes to a grinding halt as the person says something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I guess we just disagree on it, oh well." And then they adjust their nose plug and walk away from the conversation. There's honestly a few reasons why this is somewhat bothersome, but one of the biggest in play is that it completely prevents the two of us from being able to articulate our opinions even further to each other. It's honestly really enjoyable and fascinating to hear a very specific interpretation of a film that is based around another person's experiences, friendships, and even morality. Even if they have some reason which I think is miles away from how I interpret film. For instance, I once had a conversation with someone about the movie Babysitter, where the only reason they enjoyed the film was solely because they thought the actors were hot. And while this may be borderline disrespectful to the creativity of filmmaking and something that makes me want to strap this person to a chair, peel their eyelids open, and force them to watch Requiem for a Dream on repeat just to watch them slowly develop a potent case of schizophrenia, I still think it would be enjoyable to ask them questions about why they perceived the film that way, or why they look past things like the bad dialogue or the really half-baked horror elements. Instead of shutting down the conversation because I find the person to be more shallow than a caramel macchiato holding a Stanley Cup at a Taylor Swift Eras concert, I feel like it never hurts to dig a little further as to why our subjective opinions clash with one another. Another aspect of this topic that I've obsessed over more than that one time a 6'8" girl with black eyeliner coughed in my general direction as I felt a potent connection between the two of us, is the idea that subjectivity is immovable and tied to your personality. A lot of times, it seems like even the slightest mention of subjectivity while discussing opinions drives a freight train directly into the conversation, crippling it and forcing it into a wheelchair where it'll never be able to play with its grandkids the same way again. Although it does kind of make sense why this sort of reaction is so common. The personal experience someone inherits from a film they watch usually tends to be a pretty sacred thing that ties to their personality. So if you try to challenge someone's subjective opinion on Mamma Mia and say that it's irritating or surface level in its writing, it comes across as if you were saying the person themselves is irritating or surface level in their writing. And it's also kind of just an argument waiting to happen sometimes.
It's not hey, that's an end of discussion!
It's not that I'm
not
having
an argument!
It's not that I'm not having fun! It's that I'm trying to watch it with a critical lens!
Yeah, that's boring! That's lame!
You're boring!
Yeah, okay!
So yeah, it's definitely not the most confusing thing in the world as to why people tend to avoid comparing subjective opinions in conversation. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that opinions can't be dissected or even maybe shifted. There have been so many occasions where I've had a discussion with a friend as to why they disagree with me about The Matrix, No Country for Old Men, and even Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. And it genuinely challenged my perspective on those illustrious pieces of filmmaking that are all undoubtedly on the same level. While it's obviously not the most fun feeling in the world as a film baddie with foreign films that nobody's ever heard of smeared all over your letterbox to find out that you don't even agree with your own opinion on something, I still think it helps to be shown how it's possible to be misinformed or biased in your own opinion. However, the thing that really makes me want to have my nose hairs attached to the back of a plane as it's taking off is the times whenever someone fills in the blanks for me as to exactly why I disagree with them.
Oh, you didn't enjoy Detective Pikachu? Well, you probably just don't really enjoy Pokemon. I get it.
Oh, I mean, I do like Pokemon, but I don't know, I thought it was kind of a bad move.
Oh, you didn't enjoy Smile? Well, it's pretty intense, so if you don't like scary things, then that makes sense.
No, I mean, there's a lot of horror movies that I really enjoy because of how intense they are. I don't think that's really...
Oh, you didn't like Step Brothers? Well, you probably spent all of your years in college doing school stuff instead of shotgunning bottles of tequila and assaulting women. Right, babe?
Now, obviously people like this aren't really saying these arguments for absolutely no reason. The Detective Pikachu lover, for instance, has more than likely had people in the past say that they don't like the film simply because they have a subjective distaste for Pokemon. However, even if it is a somewhat common sentiment, I don't think that means that it's healthy to brand every single person who dislikes the thing as a soulless husk that hates everything Pokemon. I could very easily be a deranged outlier when it comes to this, but I usually try to give just about anything a chance when it comes to consuming media. I've watched everything from cheesy rom-coms that make me want to blush and touch my pointer fingers together while I twist my feet back and forth, to disgusting and brutal horror movies that make me want to crawl out of my own skin and lobotomize myself just so I could stop the night terrors for even a singular night. And I've loved and hated films from both respectively. My enjoyment from watching film isn't necessarily from a specific genre or IP, but more so from the storytelling or the filmmaking that applies to a film no matter what the genre. So it is certainly possible for someone to be attached to an IP and still believe that some movies, games, or even shows within that IP kinda blow chunks. So yeah, to neatly sum everything up for the 12.8% that stayed until the end of the video who actually have functioning brains filled with things other than Skibbity Toilet and I Showed Speed clips, My objective opinion on subjective opinions is that subjectivity is a subjective phenomenon that objectively doesn't understand the fabric of the subjective subconscious objectively. You got that? Sick. Okay. Now back to business.